It rains here a lot.
Hey folks, Prepper Princess. So today we are going to talk about 5 specific different bills and how you can possibly minimize those bills. The first on the list is housing. So housing is one of the biggest expenses that we have here in the United States. So I want you guys to consider downsizing. If you have a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment, but it's just you and your significant other, maybe think of downgrading to a 1-bedroom or a studio, or even possibly renting a room. If you have a mortgage, it's time to look into refinancing for a lower rate. As you know, rates are down to 0, so it's possible that the interest rates could be lower on the mortgage that you currently carry. Another one is check with your, assessment, the assessed value of your house, and see if the housing has lost value over time, and maybe you can reduce your yearly tax bill. And that doesn't include anything like repairs or maintenance, things along those lines. That's just strictly housing. It might be time to downsize. It might be time to consider relocation. The second one is debt. I think that student loan debts are probably the worst possible debt that you can have because it cannot be forgiven in bankruptcy court. So a lot of people talk about getting rid of the credit cards first because they're the highest interest rate. It depends on your situation, but if you are not good with money or you foresee unfortunate circumstances in terms of employment in your future, then I would recommend getting rid of your student loan debt first and then working towards the credit cards. If you are just, in debt due to consumer spending and you have a little bit of a student loan, but you have pretty good employment prospects, then I would say get rid of the credit card first and then move your way on to the student loans. And there's also the method. What's that method? The debt snowball method, and then there's the highest interest method. So, or highest dollar amount. I do recommend doing it the Dave Ramsey way where you take the credit card with the smallest balance and pay it off first, and then take that payment and add it on to the next one, the next one, the next one until you get it paid off. It does really click something in your brain mentally that makes you more motivated because you're already seeing progress by closing out a credit card. So debt is the absolute one thing that you have to get rid of. I want you to imagine a life where you have no mortgage, no credit cards, no student loans, no car payments, no nothing. And imagine how much money you could save if you do that. I have been living that type of lifestyle for going on 14 years now. And it really is a stress reliever. It helps you sleep at night. It really does. The next one is transportation. So with transportation, there's a million different things you can do. For starters, if you're going to keep your current vehicle, see if you can, again, refinance it, get a lower interest rate on the payment. If you can sell the car and downsize, get something that is 10, 20 years old that you're just using as a beater commuter car, and go that route. Some people can go even more extreme. They can give up the car, maybe get a moped or a scooter. Some people can downgrade even more so than that, and instead of a scooter or a moped, they'll go with a self-powered bicycle. I think that bicycles in this day and age are very underrated. With the improvements that we've had with public transportation, bicycles you can get pretty much anywhere on public transportation. If you live in a more rural area, it might be a little more difficult, and you should consider maybe a moped or a scooter. The next one is entertainment. So whenever I think of entertainment, I think of cards, board games, and balls. So I think that Uno and poker are really great things to do at home if you like card games. Board games, especially with Monopoly, but Monopoly, Sorry, Yahtzee, Rummy Cube, things that you can do on a board game, which is a one-cost item, and it'll keep you entertained for hours on end. Balls, so footballs, basketballs, baseballs, soccer balls, anything that has to do with a ball where you can go to the park and maybe pack a picnic and spend a lot of really good quality time with your kids and getting exercise also. So you can quit the gym membership and just go out and play with your kids. Entertainment, when it comes to cable TV, Cable TV is sort of an archaic thing. Like, it's almost obsolete. And the problem with cable companies is they keep raising the rates because people keep quitting the service. So it makes it more expensive for the people who do have cable or dish satellite. I highly recommend, if you don't want to ditch the cable, you're like me. I currently have Sling TV, and I share a Netflix account with somebody else who gives it to me for free. So Sling TV offer, I think, is $35. There's also one called Philo TV, which is the only difference that I can see between Sling and Philo. Well, it's $10 a month difference. I believe Philo is either $20 or $25 a month, but the only thing Philo doesn't have is the FXX channel. Which is a lot, like yesterday they had the whole Captain America Avengers. So those movies are good movies, but if you can do without them, do without. If you can do without live channels, well, you can also get an antenna, but it depends on the area and where you live on what type of stations you're going to get. But I highly recommend a Roku box. I will leave the description I'll leave the link in the description below. But a Roku box you can get for $25 to $35. You start uploading the apps, and if you have internet access, you have free TV, like Pluto TV, FilmRise. There's a million different stations, and you pretty much have all the TV and movies that you could watch for the rest of your life essentially for free. It's better than an antenna. An antenna is going to get you a couple national stations, maybe ABC, CBS, and NBC. But it's mostly local and foreign language stations. So I would highly recommend a Roku box. The last one is food. A lot of people waste food. So something like 30% of the food that you purchase will automatically go in the garbage. So imagine going to the store, buying 3 apples and just throwing one away. Like, as soon as you walk out of the store, you might as well just throw it in the garbage, because most people will buy all of these groceries with the intention of cooking it and then end up, being tired or lazy, or, I work hard, I deserve this, and then they'll go out to a restaurant, and then that food will go bad, it'll spoil, it'll get wasted. So one of the first things that you can do to save 30% at the grocery store is just only buy what you are going to eat within the designated time that you are going to eat it. So make sure that you eat everything up before you go back to the store to buy more. That's a huge one. The second one, and this is the method that I do, first of all, I have 0 food waste in my house. But the second is the more basic the meal, the cheaper it is. So I'll give you an example. So every morning for breakfast, I always have a 1/3 cup of Quaker Oats with some flavored granola and banana slices. That's been my same breakfast for 5 years. It's sort of a homemade cereal. I make it myself. It's delicious, it's heart healthy, it's good for you, it's slow burning carbs, so it's going to keep you full up until lunchtime. Lately it's been 1 potato and 1 egg. I will fry those up. That is my lunch. For dinner, it's usually some sort of I'll go and cook either a steak or a chicken, and I'll cut them up into little bits, and I'll make a sandwich, and that's usually my dinner. So in the way that you cook, if you have a family, the way that you cut your meat it's astounding how much you can make your meat last just by the way that you cut it. You cut a chicken breast in half long ways, not, right down the middle, You cut it. So here's the chicken breast, and you're going to cut it this way. And that turns 1 chicken breast into 2. When you cut your steak, you should be serving it not as just like a big steak, but you take that steak and you cut it into small slices, and then you sort of tip it like this, and it essentially doubles the amount of steak. I mean, it's a mental eye thing. The eye sees the steak, and then when you cut it that way and you go like this and you sort of spread it out, it makes the steak look twice as big. So you can give somebody a half size of steak and it'll still fill them up, but they'll think that they're getting a much larger piece. It's one of those mental tricks that I learned 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it really does help. Another thing is buying what's in season, or the cheapest thing there is. The cheapest thing there is pretty much going to be potatoes, onions, and carrots. buying and celery and lettuce. So buying those things in season, you can make your own salads, your own side salads. Celery with peanut butter makes a really great snack. Cheese and salami is another cheap snack, and my all-time favorite is tomato basil wheat thins with Philadelphia cream cheese. So those are all really cheap, really delicious snacks, and you can make them for a family of 5 over the course of 2 or 3 days if you make sure that you ration it correctly. So the more basic your diet is, the cheaper it's going to be. And my diet has always been extremely, extremely basic. And it's also probably going to be the healthiest for you as well. So we went over housing, debt, transportation, entertainment, and food. I hope this has been helpful. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.
What, mister? What, mister? Who's my boy? Who's my boy? You're my boy. Yes. Oh, my sweet mister. Yes. Oh, are you relaxed? Are you relaxed? My relaxed little boy. Yes. Oh.